Hello, hello. It's Alexandra Middleton as usual with Arctic highlights. So I will cover my recent visit to EU Arctic Forum, where I moderated a panel, and the panel was on research, science, and innovation in the Arctic. I had experts from EU, European Polar Coordination Office, University of Lapland, and UIT, University of Tromsø. We discussed how Arctic research can contribute to solving global challenges like climate change, and also what role of EU and EU funding is playing in all of that. So some highlights from that panel. So far, EU has already spent more than 350 million euros on the projects related to the Arctic, and they span from projects that have funding like 6 million euros to 15 million euros. So really big interdisciplinary and international projects. They also indicated that there will be new funding round starting from 2025 that has allocated 150 million euros on the Arctic, on the polar projects. And this is quite good indication on the commitment towards research funding mechanisms for the polar regions. Another aspect that was discussed is the integration of indigenous knowledge and traditional knowledge in the research proposals and in the research outcomes that are funded by the EU. Then the establishment of EU, European Polar Coordination Office, also brings new opportunities for international researchers, policymakers, and different stakeholders to be further engaged in polar research initiatives. What concerns my recent publication in Arctic Highlights that I distribute via LinkedIn newsletter. There I covered a new publication in urban sustainability that deals with the applicability of UN Sustainable Development Goals in the Arctic context. So the researchers interviewed urban planners across the Nordic Arctic, also including Greenland. And they found quite divergent views, for instance, on the role of population growth, because some policymakers, some experts believe that the Arctic cities need larger population to sustain themselves, and some disagree on that. The role of tourism was also controversial because some urban planners, some experts believe that tourism is essential for economic development, while some disagree with that and say that it's very detrimental for the Arctic environment, for Arctic ecosystems. But there are some views on which they converge, and it's involvement of local perspectives, adopting sustainable development goals to the Arctic local needs, and also turning from extractive industries, from this model where extractive industries dominate, to more diversified economies in the Arctic. So that was the area of convergence. Then I also covered a new publication on the establishment of a joint venture between Russian Rosatom and Chinese company, where they plan to build vessels for container shipment along the Northern Sea route. So it's a quite important strategic announcement and investment. There's also publication from St. Petersburg Economic Forum, where Russian officials indicated that there is some strain of cooperation between US and Russia on the Arctic matters, space, and rare earths. Rare earth metals at the same time were indicated to be free from international investment, and the Russian officials believe that this area should remain sovereign for strategic interest. Then I also covered a new board game, which is called Terra Nordica, and it's very useful for studying just transitions in the Arctic region. So I'll link the board game to this video, so you could download it and also play it with your colleagues, or you could also use it in educational settings, which is a really nice feature. Okay, so that's about it for today. I will be on holidays in July, but hopefully I will see you again in the end of July or beginning of August. So have a wonderful summer and we see you again. Bye.